Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In the previous video on the mandible bone, we had discussed the body of the mandible, the external surface, the internal surface, the upper border, the lower border. In this video, we will discuss the ramus of the mandible. I will give you an introduction about the ramus. It has got two surfaces. This surface is the lateral surface. This one is the medial surface. It has got four borders. This is the upper border, this is the anterior border, this is the posterior border, and this is the base. Coming to the lateral surface of the ramus of mandible, this lateral surface is continuous with the external surface of the body of mandible, and throughout its extent or throughout its surface, it provides attachment to the masseter muscle except posterior-superiorly where it is related to the parotid gland. So throughout its surface it is providing attachment to the masseter muscle except posterior-superiorly, and this area is directly related to the parotid gland. Posterior-inferiorly, this particular area on the ramus of the mandible shows some oblique ridges. These are these oblique ridges which are present posterior-inferiorly on the ramus, and these ridges are actually produced because of the attachment of the intramuscular septa of the masseter muscle. Now I told you that here the masseter muscle is attached, and this superior border, here you are seeing a notch which is called the mandibular notch, and from this notch the masseteric nerves and vessels pass. So here masseter muscle is lying and the masseteric nerve and vessels will pass, and here they will supply the masseter muscle. So this is all about the lateral surface of the ramus of the mandible. Now we will discuss the medial surface. Medial surface, in the center, just above the center, there is a foramen present in the medial surface. This foramen, this is called the mandibular foramen. So this foramen, this is the mandibular foramen, and this particular mandibular foramen, it leads to the mandibular canal, and inferior alveolar nerve and vessels pass through it. So the mandibular foramen, it leads to the mandibular canal, and on reaching the point between the first and the second premolars, this mandibular canal will divide into an incisive canal which will go towards this incisive fossa and a mental canal. The inferior alveolar nerves and vessels which are passing through this mandibular foramen also will divide into an incisive nerve and vessels which will go to the incisive canal and reach this incisive fossa, and they will also divide into a mental nerve and vessels which will go into the mental canal, and they will come out through this mental foramen. This is the mental foramen which I have already discussed in the previous video of mandible. So the mental nerve and vessels will emerge out of this mental foramen. The mandibular foramen antero-posteriorly, it is guarded by a tongue-like structure. So this is the mandibular foramen, and antero-superiorly here, antero-medially here, it is guarded by a tongue-like structure. So this is a tongue-like structure. As you can see, I'll show it closely. This one, this is a tongue-like structure which is guarding this mandibular foramen, and this is called the lingula of the mandible. This is called as the lingula of the mandible, and the attachment here is the sphenomandibular ligament. Now this is an important ligament of the temporomandibular joint which is attached to the spinosphenoid and the lingula of the mandible. Now below this mandibular foramen, you can see a groove-like structure. This groove-like structure that you are seeing, this is called the mylohyoid groove. It runs below and in front of the mandibular foramen right towards the submandibular fossa. This is the area of the submandibular fossa. So this mylohyoid groove is running towards the submandibular fossa, and it is lodging the mylohyoid nerve and vessels. This is the mylohyoid groove. Now the area of the medial surface behind and above the mandibular foramen, this is the mandibular foramen and this is the medial surface of the ramus. So the area behind and above the mandibular foramen, this area is related to the first part of the maxillary artery. Coming to the superior border of the ramus of the mandible, this is the superior border. I told you this has a notch here which is called the mandibular notch, and the masseteric nerve and vessels, they will pass through this mandibular notch, and here lies the masseter muscle, so they will supply this masseter muscle. This is the posterior border. This is the posterior border which is smooth and thick, and it is related to the parotid gland. Coming to the two processes This posteriorly oriented process, this is called the condylar process or the head of the mandible. This is the head of the mandible, and this is a anteriorly oriented coronoid process. Condylar process is present at the junction of the superior border and the posterior border. So this is the head of the mandible or the condylar process. From above, if you see this, it is convex. So this is convex from above. But horizontally, if you see this, so this is horizontally, if you see this, so you can see that it is elliptical. So horizontally it is elliptical, and if you see it from the top view, it is convex. In the living, it is covered by fibrocartilage, and this forms the TMJ joint, that is a temporomandibular joint, with the anterior part of the mandibular fossa of the temporal bone, and in between lies the intra-articular disc, which will separate the joint cavity into two compartments, upper compartment and a lower compartment. Now, next to the head, you have the neck of the mandible. Throughout its extent, the neck of the mandible provides attachment to the capsule of the temporomandibular joint, and the lateral and the posterior part will provide attachment to the lateral ligament of the temporomandibular joint. Now, anteriorly, the neck has a depression. This is the neck, and anteriorly here it has a depression. This is called the pterygoid fovea, and this lodges the lower head of the lateral pterygoid muscle. So this is the pterygoid fovea, which is lodging the lower lateral head of the pterygoid muscle. Now, the medial surface of the neck of the mandible, that is related to the auriculotemporal nerve. So through the neck of the mandible का जो medial surface होता है, यानी कि this is the medial surface of the neck of the mandible, and this is related to the auriculotemporal nerve. So this is all about the condylar process. Coming to the coronoid process, it is a triangular bony plate. So you can see this is a triangular bony plate which is present at the junction of the superior border and the anterior border. It has an apex. This is the apex. It has got two borders, anterior border and a posterior border. It has got two surfaces, lateral surface and a medial surface. Now the apex, the anterior border and the medial surface, they receive the insertion of the tendon of temporalis muscle. In fact, a very interesting thing to note here is that this coronoid process is actually formed by the upward pull of the temporalis muscle. Now, the anterior border of this coronoid process is continuous with the anterior border of the ramus of mandible, and that is continuous with the oblique line on the external surface of the body of mandible. I have already talked about this oblique line in the previous video on mandible. Now, in adults, this coronoid process and this condylar process, they lie at the same level. But in case of newborns, this coronoid process is at a higher level in comparison to the condylar process. The lower border of the ramus of mandible is in continuation with the lower border of the body of mandible. So this is basically in continuation, and at the junction they are forming an angle. This is called the angle of mandible, and it is about 110 to 120 degree in adults. 110 to 120 degree is the angle of mandible, but in case of newborn and elderly people, it is obtuse and it is 140 degrees. Okay. Now, there are few methods to determine the age of the mandible. First is the position of the mental foramen. This is the mental foramen. In case of adults, it will lie at the midpoint of the upper and the lower border. So it will lie at the midpoint. In case of elderly people, it will reach the upper border. Now the question arises that why will it reach the upper border? Because in elderly people, the teeth, they have fallen and the sockets are eroded. So it will approach the upper border. And in case of newborns, it approaches the lower border. So this is the first method to determine the age of the mandible. Second method is to look at the angle of mandible. This is the angle of mandible. I have already told, in case of adults, it is 110 to 120 degrees, and in case of elderly people and in case of newborn, it is more obtuse and it is 140 degrees. This is the second way to determine the age, whether it is of the, whether this mandible is of the adult person or whether it is of a newborn or whether it is of an elderly person. The third method is to look at the sockets. Okay, we have to look at the sockets. In the case of elderly people, the teeth will be fallen and the sockets will be eroded. So this is again another method to determine the age of the mandible. So this is all for this video. In this video we have discussed the ramus of the mandible, the lateral surface, the medial surface, the upper border, posterior border, anterior border, the base of the ramus, the angle of the mandible, the two processes, condylar process and the coronoid process, and we have also discussed the methods to determine the age of the mandible. Thank you.